Hey folks, the Desert Artist here. I just got a reply on one of my videos from a guy who said that God was bloodthirsty, babykiller, or racist, and self-absorbed, and all those mean, horrible things. And, I replied to him and I said, you're right. God was all those things. What's crazy about all that stuff is people need to rethink about the interpretation of God. I don't think they fully understand. They think God is some entity way up there in the sky, when he's not. He is some entity that's way up there in the sky. Okay? God exists within us all. We all have bloodthirsty thoughts because, God has bloodthirsty thoughts. He's racist and homophobic and all that stuff, right? Okay, well, guess what? That means that we all have that ability to be racist and homophobic and scary and bloodthirsty and greedy and, all them 7 deadly sins things, right? So, that means that we can all be overtaken by those things. Now, no matter where we are, we always have those thoughts that go on in our mind. And it's understanding that when we ask ourselves a question, we get an answer back. Well, wait a minute. Is that God talking to me? Is there really a voice in my head? I've heard this stuff about voices in people's heads, and do they really actually physically hear them? Or are they arguing with themselves in their mind? Well, more than likely, that's lost to interpretation. Like a lot of the things in the Bible. Lost to interpretation, translation via synonyms versus any one of those other NIM things. Metaphors can be lost to that too. So understanding that we can all be lost to synonyms and metaphors and definitions. And once we understand that we can be lost to those things, we can understand that those things exist in our head. That God exists. I had so much respect for Bill Nye. I loved watching him being the science guy and, explaining all this science stuff. And then I see this thing about he doesn't believe in God. Well, who in the hell gave him all those thoughts in his brain to be smart enough to be who he is? God. He doesn't understand who God is. That little voice in his head that gives it all that rhetorical thought. All those things that process that information. That little electrical wave in your brain that gives you close your eyes, you can see stuff. Yeah, well, that's God talking to you. Showing you stuff. The more that you concentrate on something, the more something exists. And the more something exists, the more reality it can be. And when it becomes more realistic, understanding that God is wherever you go, he's there. He's that little voice in your head. And it's there. God is susceptible to the 7 deadly sins as much as the next guy. The reason why, God came to earth to experience life as a man, God had no counterpart. No. God couldn't argue with himself because he was all about himself. He was selfish, self-absorbed, and bloodthirsty, and all that stuff. So, understanding that God exists all within our mind. However much you want to believe him, he's going to be there. However much you don't want to believe him, he's not going to be there. Simple as that.